Cannes Lions 2017, brands from all around the globe here in the south of France, but also many creative agencies, marketing agencies, and one man who's in charge of a large one is Nick Waters, CEO of Asia Pacific for Dentsu Aegis. You've had a good week so far, I guess?
Yes, I think it's going okay. Yeah, lots of good stuff going on. We're doing all right ourselves in the awards, not too bad.
One of the things that we're discussing is technology,
Yep.
and how is that impacting on your business?
Very significantly. Obviously, the big driver of business now is data. How do you manage the data? You need good technology to manage that data, to draw out some insights, some actual information, actionable information, and then to be able to act on it and do something with it. So technology is becoming a pretty central to the business now.
But what does that mean working with the brands that you represent? How are you joining all that together? And what does it therefore mean for those brands?
Huge implications. The first point is turning all that data into a competitive advantage. A brand can't offer anything to a consumer unless it can mean something, make something out of all that data. So our agencies need to be able to filter, find things that are worth actioning, and then finding the drivers of business growth. So it's really central to everything.
When does things like AI, machine learning, help or hinder what you're doing with your brands, and how does it impact on creativity?
Well, I think the truth is we're still at the very early stages of that journey, understanding what machine learning can do, understanding what AI can do. I think the scope is very, very broad. At the moment we're identifying the most impactful areas, and I think if you just look at one area in communications planning, the amount of inputs that people need to take in to understand consumer motivations, business drivers, distribution, all these kind of things, takes humans quite a bit of time to process it, understand what are the most significant factors and the biggest drivers. If we can use artificial intelligence or machine learning techniques to process all that, we could do it much quicker and potentially with a much higher degree of accuracy, leading to better business results. And that's the kind of area we're looking at the moment. But as I said, it's still, I think, pretty early stages in the journey.
So how does that impact on the creative process, and how does that help you join together all the ways in which consumers experience brands?
Creative process, I think it would be fair to say you could characterize it in the history of our business so far through quite a lot of instinctive understanding of people and consumers and behaviours. I think what we have the opportunity to do now is to put much more science at the front end of the creative process. So we're getting, rather than instinctive, we're getting empirical signals into the creative process. Still, I think the human angle is essential. Certainly at this stage, maybe one day it'll become less so, but I still think at this stage it's really, really essential. And I think the real opportunity is the combination of computers and humans to create better, more meaningful solutions. We then obviously have to be able to distribute these messages. You create the message which gets the emotional engagement between the consumer and brand, but then we have the opportunity to distribute them much more accurately. We can market to people we know, market to real people rather than audiences or proxies. So if you actually understand the people you're marketing to, their hopes, aspirations, motivations, and you have the computer-led ability to tailor the right message to the right people, you can get significant business uplift and outcome. And that, I think, is very much where the business is going and where we're aiming to take the business.
In the past, we used to see kind of, sort of siloing. So we would have digital media businesses, we've had out-of-home businesses. Because this message has now got to work across all these media, we're already starting to see industry change become a little more streamlined. How are you as a business starting to do that too?
Well, I think if you look at the evolution of marketing services landscape, as it fragmented, it got more complex, it gave rise to more and more specializations. We have a fundamental belief that specialization beats generalization, so we fully believe in developing deep specialist capability. But the challenge then became for the brand owner how to integrate the various specializations to create a strategy that is right for the brand. And I think it was fair to say that you wind the clock back a few years ago, the agency landscape wasn't structured optimally to help brands get that integrated, holistic, if you like, communication solutions. So we organized our company where we have the specialist capabilities in agency brands, but we run the business at a group level. So the only P&L we measure is the group level, and that removes the internal barriers to cross-disciplinary teams. And it's the cross-disciplinary teams that I think are able to create the brand building solutions. We're in a highly disruptive environment, everybody knows that. In a disruptive environment you need innovation. How do you get innovation? There's a lot of empirical evidence that says you get best innovation where you have people with different skill sets who look at things from different angles working together. So we put an organizational structure in place that facilitates that and removes the internal barriers to that.
So briefly then, what's the next 5 years going to be like in terms of the marketing services industry?
Very, very firm move to people-based marketing. Obviously the regulatory environment around personal identifiable information varies around the world, but where there is a relatively liberal environment on PII in the United States, the capability exists to do very, very highly targeted people-based marketing. So we can market to people we know rather than proxies or cookies or audiences and things like that. I think the big driver in the medium term, near and medium term, is how to take the intellectual property that's developed in the United States and apply it in other markets around the world where the regulatory environment might be a little more conservative, but whereby you can still use the techniques to identify people at a much more real people-based level than a proxy-based level. I think that's the most significant driver for the near and medium term in the industry.
Nick, thank you very much.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.